Alrighty, everybody. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to another live. So, before we get started here, I do want to let you guys know we are having a little bit of internet problems. I think that there's something going on with our internet here this morning. So, it is a little bit messed up. It definitely looks like we're lagging quite a bit. But anyways, everybody, I hope everyone is doing well. Here, let me check on our thing here, make sure it is running okay. I think everything seems to be fine for now. But like I said, we're having a little bit of internet issues this morning, so if it does cut out, then that is why. But anyways, guys, good to see you all. Hope everyone is doing well, having a great day here so far. Let's see, what's up, Devontae? Good to see ya. Saying no lag issues on my end so far. Good. Glad to see it. But yeah, it's been kind of in and out here this morning. I don't know what's going on with it. But hope everyone's doing well. So we got ourselves a pretty big storm coming up here for the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic Northeast. We are seeing quite a bit of quite a bit of model disagreement here with this storm system. It definitely looks like it's going to be a pretty good one, though. I mean, if we hop back to the HRRR here, we're going to load up our model data. So we're going to go ahead and bring up our precipitation type reflectivity. So this system's really going to start to kick off here pretty much tomorrow. Pretty much early tomorrow morning is when the system is supposed to really start coming together here. I mean, you can see, once we approach pretty much midnight here, tonight going into Sunday, we are going to be seeing ourselves, quite a bit of activity here out of the storm. Likely seeing a lot of snow popping off across the Mid-Atlantic as well. Now, the problem is, and like I said, the models are really all over the place right now. And the reason is because there's a lot of warm air that is involved in this system. So a lot of people are going to be seeing kind of a mixture between rain and snow, which that kind of makes it a little bit tricky to forecast because obviously, if you get more rain than snow, then you're going to have less snow accumulations and stuff like that. So the models, they're having a little bit of a hard time determining, how much rain, how much snow we're going to be seeing out of this system here. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it, and we'll definitely keep on watching it and giving you guys updates. But I mean, we do have potential for this storm here to be quite an active or quite a nasty little storm here. We're actually going to bring up our pressure as well. The pressure is actually supposed to get really, really low on this system. The models were kind of suggesting here that we could be seeing, the pressure as low as the 970 range here, which is definitely really, really low. We're actually going to show those up so you guys can see those. So those are ISO bars. But yeah, as we progress away later on down into the system here for pretty much the evening of Sunday, this is the like I said, the HRRR model here, and it really does show that low becoming quite impressive, just off the Mid-Atlantic coast here. I mean, we're talking, really, really strong low, and the system, I mean, really picking up some strength. Now, the HRRR shows the pressure getting down into the 970 millibar range here, which absolutely is quite a nasty low here, quite a strong low. And at this point, we'll likely be seeing a lot of really heavy coastal snow. I mean, this is for late Sunday going into early Monday here. We're talking some really heavy snow. A matter of fact, if we hop over here to the current warnings, watches, and advisories and stuff here, we'll go ahead and bring those up. I need to restart the program. Yeah, like I said, we're having a little bit of internet issues this morning, so I apologize if we cut out at any point. Just know that's why. But we do actually have quite a bit of blizzard warnings in effect for southern Delaware here. Also for eastern New Jersey, New York, portions of New York State, but New York City is included in the blizzard warning, believe it or not, as well as Long Island here. So definitely is quite a nasty storm here. Now, some of these areas are going to be picking up a pretty good amount of snow potentially. I mean, we're talking well over a foot, maybe even 2 feet in some regions here could be possible out of this storm here. I mean, it's definitely going to be pretty nasty regardless. What's up, Mark? Good to see you. What's up, Amelia? Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. But like I said, definitely need to start preparing for the system. The models, they were kind of in like a lot of disagreement for a while. I mean, they still are, obviously. But now that we're getting right up on the system, given the models are now really showing that there's going to be a strong low here regardless, there's going to be a lot of strong winds here with the system. But like I said, exactly how much snowfall is still a little iffy because the models, they're just all over the place. Some models show there being more warm air involved, lowering the snow totals. And then you got some other models that are showing it mostly cool, showing a lot of heavy accumulation and stuff like that. So what I want to do here is I want to look at the winds. That's one thing I do want to pull up here with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and bring this up here. We're going to go ahead and pull up our surface wind here, 10-meter wind speed, which is about 30 foot up. Looking at our wind speeds about that high. So we're going to pull it up here. This is the HRRR model. I am going to bring up my different color table. I should have a different one made. There we go. Yeah, a little bit of a neon one here. We're going to switch on over here. So there's definitely going to be quite strong winds involved here, as you can kind of see. The coastal areas are definitely going to be seeing some really, really strong winds. Now, these are these are sustained winds. This does not include the wind gusts. We could be gusting a heck of a lot higher here, but, some areas are likely going to be dealing with some coastal concerns, maybe some coastal flooding, rip current concerns. I mean, I wouldn't think that there'd be a lot of people out by the beach over here at this time, but if you are, do not go out in the water, obviously. I'm sure it's way too cold anyways, but, there's probably some people that would, which I would definitely not recommend because it's just going to be pretty nasty out there. But, we are talking some heavy sustained winds here, a good, like I said, 40, 50 mile per hour winds here towards the end of the run of the latest HRRR. Now, I do want to pull up the RRFS model, which we'll compare that with. And we'll bring up the 06 because this actually goes a little bit further down in time, so we can kind of look and see what this model does suggest here. Anyway, so we work our way down in time. Once again, those winds really start cranking. I mean, we're going to be seeing some really, really strong winds out of this system regardless, possibly even hurricane force winds potentially within the storm here. Now, I do want to bring up the max accumulated wind gusts here. So we're going to go ahead and overlay that because that's showing us, how strong these winds could basically peak at. So according to the RRFS model, I mean, we're talking some really, really strong winds, throughout Maryland's and Virginia's coast here. I mean, we're talking a good maybe 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts here. Out by Delaware, a good 30, 40. Now, once you get up by like coastal New Jersey, the winds actually kind of go up a little bit more, probably seeing some more wind gusts between maybe 40 to 50 miles an hour. Long Island could be within the same range as well. But once you get out towards like Massachusetts, I mean, we're talking maybe 50, maybe even closer to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. We do even have Nantucket in for potentially 70 mile per hour wind gusts, according to this model here. Now, I do want to do a little bit of a comparison here. I do want to bring up the American GFS model. The American GFS model shows maybe more 70 mile an hour wind gusts for, eastern Long Island here, including Nantucket, portions of eastern Massachusetts, really seeing some strong winds overall. So definitely got to really look out for it. Really, really got to look out for that. I do want to compare that with the Euro, though. The ECMWF. It's obviously good to get a little bit of model agreement or a little bit of different models, tastes on the system. So here is the like I said, so here is the Euro, the ECMWF, whenever it decides it wants to load. So the Euro is actually not as significant, which is good. Doesn't show as strong of winds, but still, regardless, seeing quite a strong bit of winds rolling through. I mean, this one actually shows like Nantucket, like 30, 40 mile an hour wind gusts. So, I mean, you can obviously see here that there's quite a bit of disagreement still. I mean, even between the models. I'm going to compare this with the GDPS. This is the Canadian long range. We were looking at the Euro just a second ago. The European. Canadian's actually the most aggressive. Holy cow, dude. Look at that. Canadian showing eastern Massachusetts to 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, and Nantucket possibly 80 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts here. That is actually ridiculous. I'm going to bring up a meadogram, which is basically just basically just the model, basically laid out on a graph here. But we're definitely going to be seeing quite strong winds. I mean, it looks like we could even see sustained winds here. This model shows peak winds around 10 a.m. on Monday. showing about 65 miles per hour out there. Definitely likely seeing some heavier gusts here overall, but quite an aggressive model there. Definitely is pretty nasty. Anyways, all right. So I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering like how much snowfall we're going to be seeing with this system. Honestly, I mean, like I said earlier, the models they're really all over the place here. With the accumulation or just the accumulations in general. I do want to bring up here. Let's do our 10-to-1 ratio. Like I said, there's a lot of warm air involved. Now, the GDPS shows a heck of a lot of snow, well over a foot for these brighter pink colors, which does include portions of Delaware, portions of far eastern Maryland up by the coast, including pretty much the entire east coast of New Jersey, going through Long Island, up into Rhode Island, portions of Massachusetts here, kind of showing where we could see well over maybe a foot worth of snow. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and kind of circle where the foot line is according to the Canadian. Now, we're going to do Canadian in red because I know their flag is red, so we'll just do Canadian model in red. That way we can kind of see, this is the model that suggests that we could see about a foot or so, for these regions here. So that's where the foot line is for the GDPS. Now, if we go over to GFS, the American model is a lot more aggressive. As a matter of fact, actually even showing some areas maybe even 2 foot or more, in some spots, which is definitely pretty crazy. Now, the foot line, we'll do this one in blue, so we can kind of see that, this is the American model. So we're going to go ahead and draw where, that line is. So obviously the American GFS shows that foot line a lot further inland comparing to, what the GDPS, the Canadian model, suggested. So obviously this model wants there to be, a lot more snow. Actually, matter of fact, there is another little area over here, but we won't really count that for now. So definitely quite a bit of difference. And then, of course, you get the European model, and the Euro barely shows anybody getting a foot or more. And that really goes to show you just kind of where we're standing here, and just how the models are really just all over the place here. And then you got the Canadian or the Euro we'll do in the green here. And you can see that between all three of these models, areas out by like Boston, just Massachusetts, East Massachusetts has the greatest amount of agreement here for potentially seeing over a foot. So, the confidence for Eastern Massachusetts getting a foot is pretty high. But, other areas, I mean, like I said, it's really, really hard to say. So I really, this is kind of one of them situations where it's like, this is one of those tricky storm systems, to really know how much snow we're going to see. Because, I mean, literally, like, all the main models are saying different things. Some models are showing a foot. Some areas not even showing nearly a foot. Some models showing 2 feet. It's crazy. It really is crazy. And I really haven't seen this much of a model disagreement in such a long time. And because of it, it's kind of dangerous because you could be expecting that much snow, but then ultimately end up with a lot of snow, or you could be expecting a lot of snow, but not really end up with much at all. It could be really kind of, iffy overall. So the best thing to do in this kind of scenario is obviously prepare for the worst. I would prepare for bits of the Northeast to obviously see possibly several feet of snow. The Mid-Atlantic even, while some models doesn't show a whole lot, some models do, and obviously all the models are in pretty much disagreement mode, as you saw. So, we just got to prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Just don't be surprised if you're across portions of the Mid-Atlantic here, like Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, going into the Northeast like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and going up towards, New England here. Just don't be surprised if we do see quite a bit of snowfall out of this system. But, would I be surprised if we don't see much either? In some spots, yes, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like I said, there's going to be a bit of warm air involved in this system, especially towards the ground level, which is really throwing off the models in terms of their accumulation and stuff like that. So it's obviously a little bit iffy, a little bit too hard to say exactly how much we are going to be seeing here. But like I said, definitely do need to be watching this thing closely because, I mean, regardless, like I said, what we do know for a fact is that majority of models do show this thing becoming quite an impressive low, a very strong low. And what that is essentially going to do is it's going to allow for those winds to be really, really strong. Like I mentioned, a lot of these coastal areas will likely be seeing well over 50 mile an hour or greater, with some models even showing like Nantucket, East Massachusetts, maybe even in 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts here. We're talking some serious winds here. So that's why it is definitely concerning. And we actually have a pretty good amount of agreement with that being such a strong low. So we'll definitely just keep an eye on it. I'll obviously give you guys some more and more information here on the system. Good morning, Overbuilt. Good to see you. Good morning, Andy. Blessings, everyone. Let's see. Just what do I needed to know? Hold on. Just what I needed to know is the weather report. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's just a whole lot of model disagreement. You can really see here, especially towards the early part of the event. This is for 3 p.m. on Sunday for tomorrow. You see there's a lot of rain and snow. It's very patchy. They're just really mixed. And because of that warm air, it's really, really throwing off the models quite a bit. Christian, thank you so much, dude, for the $1 super chat. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. That is really, really nice of you. Free Thinking says, hi, Andrew. How am I looking today, please? You are fine. You're not going to be seeing any winter weather out of this. However, we actually do have a severe weather threat for today, believe it or not. So I do want to bring up the day 1 SPC because out here by Macon Bacon, where you're at here, let's bring up our town so we can actually see maybe a little bit better here. There we go. Okay, so Macon's over here. Say you are in the level 1 threat. Here, let's go ahead and bring up, see, day 1. Go back to NOAA. So for tornadoes today, we do have a 2% chance for tornadoes. So that does include you, Free Thinking, but that also includes our friends in southern Alabama, including like Dothan, south of Montgomery. It does include Macon here in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia. We are in that 2% chance for tornadoes today, even including southern South Carolina, like Hilton Head Island's in the risk here, like Beaufort, and basically just, south of Augusta, Georgia here. You can kind of see, just outside of it. But we are seeing a little bit of a tornado threat here for today, so we do need to look out for that. In terms of damaging winds, we do have basically, a large 5% risk area here from southern Mississippi all the way to South Carolina, including portions of the panhandle of Florida even, for potential damaging wind gusts within these storms. Peak winds could get up to about 60 miles per hour or so within those storms. And then lastly, in terms of hail, we also do have a little bit of a hail threat, not as much for Florida's coast, but still seeing a bit of hail potential between 1 and 2 inches in diameter, cutting through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. Now, Free Thinking, for you, being in Macon, you're in all hazards. Potential for hail, potential for damaging winds, and of course, potential for tornadic activity. Although I will say that the threat is pretty low. It is a marginal risk, so it's not like it's a high risk or anything like that, but it is on the spectrum to potentially be severe. And therefore, you should still keep an eye out there for it. But give or take, I mean, there could be a couple of storms, potential strong to severe storms nearby. It kind of seems like we have maybe a bit of a line here popping off for later this afternoon. I mean, this is showing like, 12 to 1 o'clock. We do have ourselves a bit of a line that kind of rolls through potentially. It seems like it could be pretty scattered, throughout the morning, going into the afternoon. And then we kind of get one final push, with a little line as we start to see more drier air come through. And then, of course, there could be a few more showers after that, but the majority of the severe threat at that point would be over with, kind of once you get that line here overall. Anyways. Christian says, check the European 6 Zulu. Gotcha. Let's pull that up real quickly. Let's go ahead and bring up the global Euro 06. We'll see what Euro shows. Yeah, Euro was kind of, you know what? Euro is in kind of a disagreement. At least the previous model here, comparing to the GFS. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring up the snow totals again. We're going to pull up the 10 to 1 ratio here. So let's do winter. We'll do, let's see here. Where's our 10 to 1? All right, total snow 10 to 1. Okay, so here is a model comparison. You know what? We're actually going to load both models. We're going to have the Euro on the left. We'll have the American on the right. That way we can, at least see where the differences are for the most part. So with that being said, let's pull up the winter. We'll do our 10-to-1 ratio again. So 10-to-1 on the right for the GFS, 10-to-1 on the left for the Euro here. Now, obviously, you can see which model is more aggressive. The GFS by far shows a heck of a lot more snow totals. We'll even throw on our points here so you can kind of see where what values we're talking at. Definitely quite a bit. Like we mentioned, the GFS showing areas of Maryland, Delaware, Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, possibly even in some spots over 2 feet of snow. But then you got the Euro here. This is the 0.6 on the left here. This does not nearly show as much snowfall. A matter of fact, most areas under a foot, excluding portions, like Long Island, potentially, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, So the models kind of agree out in eastern Massachusetts that we could be seeing well over a foot. Both models do show that. But still, quite a significant difference. We even look over towards Virginia. I have a lot of family out here. The Euro shows for a lot of the Blue Ridge Mountains maybe 1, maybe 2 inches. But then you go over the American GFS, and that shows like 8 to 10 in some spots. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you really don't know what to go off of because the models are just in too much of disagreement still. Let's see here. Free Thinking, thank you so much for the 5. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Free Thinking, greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. Thank you. But yeah, like I said, it's just their models are so different. And like I said, the reason why they're so different is because this storm is pretty tricky because there's a lot of warm air involved, which warm air makes or breaks snow. Obviously, if you have too much warm air, then you're not going to get as much snow. If you have too much, if you have too little warm air, if it's more cold, then you have a greater snow chance. But like I said, in this case, there's just a lot of disagreement. These models are really showing a heck of a lot of warm air involved, which is just making it hard to trust any model here at this point. So, and that's what I was saying. It's like with this system, with this kind of setup and how hard it is to forecast. A very complex system. It determines how much warm air is actually going to be involved. It's right on the teeter-totter point between too warm and good enough. In terms of temperatures throughout the atmosphere. So, it's like, it's right on the line, and the models are still really having a hard time with it. This could not be any really more difficult of a storm to actually forecast. But yeah, let's bring back up our precipitation type here. I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown on the timing with the system. And like I said, a lot of it's going to start tomorrow. Here overall. So we'll go back to the, let's see here. We have the 12 UTC HRRR running now, but I don't think it's rendered much. So we'll go back to the 06 Zulu run here. So obviously tonight, or, throughout the, not tonight, but today, throughout the afternoon, we're going to have potential severe weather, like we mentioned in the south. We went over that. Potential for a couple isolated tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, and maybe some hail involved as well. Up here towards the Great Lakes, a little bit of lake effect snow. We are still seeing a little bit of that going through. We have a bit of a cooler air mass rolling over the Great Lakes, which is, allowing for some moisture to be present for potential snow. And then, of course, as we work our way down here pretty much into midnight tonight, at this point, we'll likely start to see some more moisture building up towards the mid-Atlantic. Maybe some snow up by like West Virginia for those upper elevations here where it is a little bit cooler. And then, of course, you can see a lot of rain kind of mixing in as well. Then, of course, we work our way down into right around 6 o'clock in the morning. And around this time, we have a lot of rain up by the mid-Atlantic here, North Carolina, bits of South Carolina, portions of Virginia. But you can see there's a lot of rain and snow kind of mixing here. And like I mentioned, this really determines on if we're going to have a lot more warmer air involved or not. That'll really drastically change those totals. So Then we continue into pretty much the later morning of Sunday. We approach noon here for Sunday, and you can see, a lot of snow really starting to fall as this low off the coast really starts kind of going. We start getting that strengthening low. A lot of rain for portions of the coastal northeast here because it's still a little bit too warm. But then as we continue down in time, the system, starts pulling down a little bit more cooler air. Obviously, we get rid of diurnal heating, so just the sun's going down is the fancy term overall. But the sun goes down, we start losing a lot of our direct sunlight, heating up the surface. I mean, it'd be pretty cloudy anyways, but, it'll still heat up the surface a little bit. But since the sun's setting, then temperatures should naturally drop, and then we should start to see maybe more of a transition into more of snow rather than rain there. But like I said, guys, I mean we just need to really watch this storm here, and this is kind of a hit or miss storm for a lot of people. This could be a big one. This could be not so much of a good storm. But one thing we do know for sure, like I said, is that we're going to have a lot of strong winds regardless. Just because of the sheer strength of the low. I mean, we're possibly getting down into the 970 millibar range, which that's going to be really strong. That'll be really picking up some strong winds here. For especially a lot of the coastal areas, we'll definitely be getting quite windy. But, for some people, this could just be a lot of rain with a little bit of snow. And for other people, it could be, just mostly a lot of snow, which, it's really kind of hard to say here. I mean, areas like New York City is kind of in one of those areas where models are kind of suggesting it mostly be snow. But, then you got some other models that show kind of different stories. So, bottom line here, this storm here is definitely a beast. It is a very, very strong nor'easter. We're definitely going to be seeing some really strong strengthening with the storm, really quick strengthening. The pressure is going to be very, very low. The winds are really going to be kicking up because of that, that sudden change in pressure, and just because how strong the system gets. But like I mentioned, there's a lot of warm air involved, in our lower atmosphere, which is really going to make it hard for determining how much snow we're actually going to get. So if I was to grab a sounding, let's just grab one up across northern Virginia here. This is for 4 p.m. on Sunday. With our freezing line, we can see the temperature down towards the surface is just a little bit too warm. Our mid-levels and upper levels are obviously cold enough to support this snow. But like I said, the snow falls, and then once it gets above that 0 degree line here, you can see where my mouse is, 0 degree Celsius, which is Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 Fahrenheit. And you can see that line here goes up. So basically everything on this side of the line is below freezing. Everything ahead of it is above freezing. But, it's definitely, going to be a little bit too warm here towards the ground. But anyway, so then we continue down in time. I mean, it cools off slightly eventually before going below freezing around, this time. This was midnight on Monday, and after that it should be mostly just snow. But, it seems like the surface is going to be just a little bit too warm, and we're going to be seeing a little bit of rain mixing in with some wet snow, which is really going to lower those accumulations here for some of these regions. But then you got some other models that shows the temperature a little bit cooler, making it be a lot more of a difference between the accumulations. So, bottom line, like I said, I mean, it's really tricky. It is really, really tricky, and it makes it extremely hard to be able to accurately forecast the amount of snow here. And because of how strong this low is and how much moisture is involved, we're going to be seeing some really fat flakes, and sometimes that's going to really allow for those accumulation rates to be really high, several inches per hour in some spots, just because of how heavy. I mean, look at the model here. This is the HRRR showing like 43 dBz snow. I mean, if you actually observe that, those are some big flakes. Those are some really, really big flakes here potentially, and really coming down pretty good. And of course we're going to have the winds that we've been talking about, which is going to be blowing around all this snow as well. It's going to really allow for those blizzard conditions. And, like I said, we actually do have blizzard warnings in effect for southern Delaware, including Milford, Bridgeville, Georgetown, Milton, Laurel. We have that in effect here. Also for eastern New Jersey, all the way down from Cape May, all the way up here towards, Long Branch up here, pretty much towards the central east coast of New Jersey. And then, of course, for New York City even. New York City's even in a blizzard warning here. We could see, a pretty good amount of snow here. Weather Service shows 13 to 18 inches for New York City, and winds as high as 55 miles per hour. And, the blizzard warnings do continue for Long Island here and even portions of, southern coastal Connecticut. So we'll definitely see. I mean, even some areas, I wouldn't be surprised if even eastern Massachusetts eventually kind of gets that. Maybe even a little bit of Rhode Island as well. As we have a little bit more confidence, as the storm continues, down further in time, those areas could potentially be in some really, really heavy conditions there. What makes a blizzard is visibility, heavy snow, and strong winds. That is what really determines these blizzard warnings apart from winter storm warnings overall. So, Free Thinking says, would you mind doing the sounding for me, please? I'm just curious. Yeah, I could do that. So we're going to hop back over here. We're going to go back down to that severe threat for today. So, like I was mentioning, we do have that line of storms coming through, sometime in the afternoon today. It could be a bit of a long line of storms. But a little bit of showers and stuff this morning, but then that potential line rolls through. Now, if I was to grab a sounding here, this is the HRRR, the 06 run. In which, we actually do have a pretty decent amount of instability here. I mean, you can see the Cape. You have our parcel path here in this white dotted line, and we have our temperatures here, the red line that is, left of that parcel path, telling us right here that the environment is negatively buoyant, telling us that, with any storm that tries to develop, it's going to rise, that air is going to continue to rise up until our equilibrium level, or EL. So basically, we are going to be seeing the storm tops. I mean, possibly pretty tall today, a bit of a mid-level, or a little bit of a dry mid-level atmosphere here. Dew points in the upper 60s. There's a great amount of moisture here. There's tons of moisture, a pretty good amount of instability. Now, the one thing is that I'm noticing here is that our wind shear at the surface isn't that strong per se. I mean, we're not seeing that strong of lower level winds, but our upper level winds are really, really strong. And that'll really allow for these storms to possibly carry on for quite a bit. So, I mean, like I said, our lower level winds are not anything impressive. If they were stronger and if they were more veering, which they're not veering that much, the winds are mostly flowing in the same direction throughout the entire atmosphere, which is going to lower that tornado threat overall, which, it is pretty minimal with that 2% that we do have. But but it does look like a decent little environment here. The lapse rates really aren't that steep. Like we mentioned, the lapse rates are the rate at which temperature drops over altitude. And you can see here that, looking at our little panel over here, I mean, we're seeing some spots of maybe 6 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Really not that high. 13.3 surface. Holy cow. That's pretty crazy. But, we're mostly focusing up here into this environment, but not super, super steep. Let's see here. What's up, Carrot? Saying, hey, bro, that line of storms in Alabama is looking a little bit mean. Is it already starting? Let's see. The models showed it. It's only 8 o'clock here. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Yeah, it should be popping off here. Let's make another panel here, y'all. We're gonna open up a new panel, and I'm gonna make this one the OBS, the observations here. Let's do RTMA. Actually, let's do MRMS first. We'll pull up this precipitation type reflectivity. Let's look at the current radar here. We'll see what we got going on. Okay, so yeah, it does look like we do have that line already going through central Alabama. Is there anything warned on it right now? Doesn't look like there's anything warned on it at the moment. I do actually want to bring up my my color map here. Let's see. I should actually. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna change it from precip type. We're gonna go back to just reflectivity. We'll do merge reflectivity, and I'm gonna bring up my custom color map. I love my neon color map here. I made this one myself, and I'm very proud of it. But yeah, I mean, it looks like the storms are definitely starting to kick off pretty good here. Let's go back for the GR2 analyst here. I do want to bring this up. Whoa, quite a bit of lightning activity. Holy cow, look at that. Oh yeah, so there's your level 2 data. Let's do velocity here. Just want to get a quick little glimpse of the line. So for now, I don't see any rotations here. I think we're losing our. All right, we're back. Apparently my radar program died on me. It loves to do this all the time. So let me go ahead and bring this back up. We're gonna have to do this again. I don't know what's going on with it, man. I don't know what's going on. There we go. Every once in a while, it like crashes, and it hard crashes and causes my computer to freak out. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I don't really see much rotation, or really any rotation going on within this line right now, which is good. But we do see a bit of obviously heavy reflectivity. So we are likely seeing some really heavy rains here with this system. So I mean, nothing severe right now, but definitely quite energetic overall. Definitely does appear to be a pretty energized storm at the moment. Anyways, but yeah, hopping back over to models here. Let's see here. Carrot says no warnings as of now, but wouldn't be surprised to see some warnings coming out of this within the next 30 minutes. It looks very robust. We'll have to see. I do want to kind of look at the environment that it's in though too. Here, let's bring up our meso analysis. I do want to pull that up here. That'll kind of give me a little bit better of an idea of like what the atmosphere kind of looks like right now. All right, so let's do this. We'll pull up the southeast. So there's that line of storms there here in Alabama. Let me make this maybe a little bit bigger so we can fit it to the screen there. There we go. All right, so instability-wise, we do have a pretty decent amount of instability. I mean, I think we're talking over 1,000 joules just ahead of the line here. Right on the line, yeah, about 1,000. So, I mean, we have enough instability for sure. Lower level winds here. Okay, so this is about 4,000 feet up. Our winds are moving to the northeast at about 30 knots. What is that, 25 to 30 knots, which is about 35 miles an hour or so, roughly. So, I mean, the winds they're decent. But like I said, they are flowing to the northeast. Now, our upper level winds, this is about 17,000 feet up. You can see they're pretty much blowing in the same direction, and we're seeing about maybe 50 to 55 knots. So the winds are increasing about 15, 20, 25 miles an hour over a altitude difference of about 13,000 feet. So, I mean, we do have a pretty good amount of wind shear here, but like I said, I mean, it's not really veering too aggressively. The winds are mostly flowing in the same direction, which, lowers that tornado threat overall. But we have good instability. We have good wind shear, which explains why we have the storms popping off here. We have a good amount of lift here as well. Let's do helicity. Yeah, our helicity is pretty low because of the mostly the zonal, or basically just the flow is in the same direction here, from lower to upper atmosphere, in which, if it was more perpendicular at the surface, if you had straight up northerlies at the surface, and we had, winds flowing from the south to the north at the surface or close to the surface, and then that aggressive change to the northeast with altitude, then we'd probably have a little bit more of aggressive environment there for that. But yeah, I mean, for now it seems pretty minimal, but as time goes on, I mean, we'll probably pick up quite a bit. A couple isolated severe warnings will be possible here throughout the day. Perhaps maybe a couple tornado warnings. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Anyways, Seahawk says, "Hi Andrew, it is 4 a.m. in Alaska." Ooh, it is still pretty early. You better go back to bed. It's early here in the East Coast. I mean, it's only 8:12 here. But anyways, yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that line of storms here, for today. But let's go ahead and get back into the models here. We're going to talk about this storm here. So, like I mentioned, a lot of the snowstorm is going to start to pop off here for pretty much midnight tonight. That's when we're going to start to see some snow falling up across the mid-Atlantic, specifically like West Virginia. A lot of lake effect snow up here by the Great Lakes. So we'll be seeing quite a bit out here. So that is what we're seeing here. Now, as we progress our way into about, let's see, 6 o'clock a.m. here, you can see, right as we approach 6 a.m. tomorrow, at this point, we'll be seeing, still some of that snow across the mid-Atlantic. A lot more lake effect snow, according to the HRRR model here. So definitely picking up quite a bit. Free thinking says no, Andrew. Yeah, I'm sure you. I'm sure you don't want that severe weather. I hope you don't get anything severe out of it. Hopefully, you just get a little bit of rain because I know a lot of people need the rain. That's for sure. What's up, Kate? Good to see you. Saying good morning, Andrew. Please make it go away. I would if I could. Trust me, I would if I could. But there's not really much I can do about it. I wish I could, but Seahawk says, just woke up just to check a quick. Just woke up just to check quick things. I'm gonna go back to sleep soon. Sounds good, man. But yeah, I mean, bottom line with this system, guys, like I said, is that there's a lot. I mean, still a lot of model disagreement. And the main thing that's causing all this disagreement is warm air. Like I said, some models do show a lot of warm air. Some models don't show as much. The models that don't show as much warm air involved leads to heavier snow totals. And then, of course, then you got the models that have more warm air involved, which leads to more rain, less overall snow, lower snow totals. And like I said, I mean, this is one of them really tricky systems, man, that makes it extremely difficult to actually forecast precisely of how much we're going to be getting. So, don't be surprised if you either come out with a lot or you either come out with not as much as you expected. This is one of those really tricky systems. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I mean, we don't really know how much totals are going to be available for some of these areas here. I mean, just because of how much disagreement there is. I mean, you can grab an average between the models, but with such a great data range, it wouldn't be super accurate. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to keep it. Just basically in this kind of scenario, the best thing you got to do is just expect the worst, hope for the best. Now, I because of how strong this low is, and how much moisture there is involved, some of these coastal areas will likely see a really heavy amount of snowfall. But once again, that warm air really comes into play here. Let's see. Do I think that NAM is slightly overdone? Oh, buddy. Let's pull up NAM. NAM is a little bit of an interesting model, as we've determined. Let's see. Let's go back to 0. So NAM's obviously a lower res model. Let's look at these totals from NAM. Yeah, NAM is not really the best always. Let's see. We'll pull up our 10-to-1 snow ratio. Total 10-to-1. Here we go. Oh, wow. Jeez. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think NAM is definitely overdoing things here. 30 to 40 inches out by Delaware, according to the NAM model. But we always say NAM. We always make fun of it. NAM stands for Never Accurate Model. It actually stands for North American Model, but we call it the Never Accurate Model. Absolutely, yeah. NAM's actually an outdated model. We talked about this in a previous live stream recently. It might have been our last live stream we talked about this, but NAM is a very outdated model. They're actually getting rid of the NAM this year. It came out in 2006, so the model is 20 years old. The model is 20 years old. So it's a little bit outdated, of course, but yeah, I definitely think that the NAM's overdoing this. 100%. 100%. I mean, because not even the other models do show that, Let's see. Cookie says, good morning from Dover, Delaware, waiting on the blizzard. See, Dima sent out alerts for the blizzard. We definitely got quite a few warnings out there. Here, let's pull out Delaware here. On the current warnings, watches, and advisories. So, you said you're in Dover. Right now, we do have a winter storm warning in effect for Dover. Between 8 and 14 inches, winds gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. That's what the Weather Service has for now. Let's see here. So south of Dover, in Delaware, we have areas like Millville, Seaford, Georgetown, Lincoln, Milford. These areas are in the blizzard warning. So the blizzard warning is actually south of Dover. And total snow accumulations in that blizzard warning there is between 6 and 12 inches, winds gusting as high as 55. But like I said, the models they're so different. They couldn't be any more different in terms of the accumulation. So I mean, it's really hard determining exactly how much we're actually going to see out of the system. But I mean, given the setup here, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's quite a lot in some areas. This is one of those systems where we're just going to really have to just wait and see how much there is going to be. But one thing I will say, though, is there will be some heavy snow for a lot of places, for probably some places for quite a while. One thing we definitely know, and this is agreeing between all models, is that we are going to be having some really strong winds. That is one thing that the models really do come to agreement with. Like I said, accumulations is where they differ, is because of that warm air involvement, towards the ground level, lower atmosphere towards ground level. The temperatures are above freezing for a little bit in some spots, which will allow for any snow that's falling to maybe turn into rain for at least a brief period of time for quite a bit of people, and that'll really, really mess with your totals here overall. So. Anyways, see, it's done in March. That's doing retirement level work. Nature? We'll see what happens. I mean, March can still bring some big storms, but yeah, usually January, February is like the big months for storm, like snowstorms and stuff. Let's see here. Bill says the GFS wind output for New England seems extreme. What really seems extreme is the GDPS. Output here. We'll bring that up for you guys again. We'll compare all models, but we'll start off with the GDPS here. And we'll bring up our max accumulated wind gusts here. So this is accumulated wind gusts over the entire system here. So yeah, just look and see what kind of winds we're talking about. So for eastern North Carolina, start off here, good 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, what the winds could peak through throughout the storm here. Then you get out there by like coastal New Jersey, we're probably seeing maybe some more wind gusts of between 50 and 60 miles per hour. Central eastern Long Island from this model shows a good 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Get ready. This model shows Nantucket in eastern Massachusetts having gusts upwards of 90 miles per hour. Eastern Massachusetts by Cape Cod as well, by Yarmouth and Provincetown between 80 and maybe closer... in some spots, maybe closer to 90 miles an hour or so, just off the coast. Yeah, definitely is quite nasty with the wind gust there. So that's the GDPS. Now, that's one of the more aggressive models, thankfully. You got the GFS, which in some spots isn't that much farther off here. Coastal New Jersey, still about 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, but, Nantucket, still maybe 80 mile an hour wind gusts or so. Cape Cod area, by Provincetown, we're talking 70 mile per hour wind gusts or whatever as well. It's definitely going to be some strong winds regardless. And the models, they really do pick up on that. And, that actually goes for a lot of the interior Northeast as well. I mean, like even Western Massachusetts could see a good 50 mile an hour wind gusts out of this system. It's going to be pretty strong for quite a bit of the Northeast coast here. And then lastly, of course, we have the Euro, the ECMWF. Now, this model is not as aggressive. Euro, believe it or not, actually has the system not nearly as aggressive as some of these other models per se. Like the 06 UTC run here does show, with this system here. I mean, for example, Nantucket only like 30, maybe a 40 mile per hour wind gusts here. Coastal New Jersey, maybe 30 or 40. And between that, I mean, you can already see there's a huge difference in the models there, It's pretty crazy. Let's see here. Cookie says, let's see, get prepared by having extra water and a bucket, flush toilet with power goes out. That's a good point, yeah. Now would be a good time to go shopping. Go ahead and get your shopping done. Make sure you have enough food and water, non-perishable foods. One thing, if you guys have a camping stove, like a little propane stove, power goes out, because with the strong winds, it's going to be likely in some spots. But, that'd be good just to cook up some meals. I mean, you don't have to have non-perishable foods, because the thing is because of how cold it's going to be, and say your power goes out, just throw all of your frozen stuff out in the snow. Just keep it out there because it'll stay frozen. Just bury it in the snow. And then whenever you want to cook it, you can just heat it up with like a camping stove, a little propane stove or whatever. I mean, even a grill if you have charcoal, whatever. You do you. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be non-perishable. Say like a hurricane though. A hurricane where it's obviously warm outside and your power goes out, then you're gonna lose a lot of your stuff there. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, just make sure you have all your food and stuff ready to go. I mean, if you have flashlight, extra batteries, make sure you have enough medicine for a while. If you take medicines, let's see here. Also, I mean, yeah, mostly food, water, medicines, flashlight, extra batteries, weather radio, phone chargers, portable phone chargers. Make sure they're charged up. If you have a generator, make sure that it's up to maintenance. Make sure you have good gas in it. Make sure that it has good oil, stuff like that. Just basic maintenance. Make sure that it's ready to go. If you have bad gas, just drain the gas tank and just get some new gas for it. Fill up your cars and gas and stuff like that. Just basic stuff is what I'd recommend getting done today for a lot of the Northeast here that's involved with this system here. Let's see. Emmanuel says the NAM is done in March. My bad. Okay. Now that makes sense. That makes sense. I was a little confused. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, it is definitely quite an interesting model. The NAM is. So I mean, I'm not. It's kind of bittersweet. I mean, it's not like I really use the NAM too much because of how inaccurate and stuff it's always been, but it's like the NAM has been there since I've been doing weather for over 10 years. It's crazy. It's crazy because it's been there since day one, but it's going away. It's kind of a little bittersweet. It's not like I used it, like I said though. But anyways, Bill says I have a feeling that the National Weather Service map is being conservative with the winds. They could be, not trying to overshoot it essentially. And like I said, in general, with this system overall, the models are all having different opinions here, which is not good. I mean, because we're not too far away from the system. Like I said, tomorrow morning is when this thing really starts to kick off here. But the models they're still not happy with each other. They're still kind of arguing right now, in which. Like I said, the best thing to do in this case is just expect a lot, hope for not a lot. I mean, if you like snow, then hope for a lot, but whatever. But just prepare for the worst. That's the best thing to do. Just go ahead, make sure you're prepped for winter storm and stuff like that. What's up, Braven? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, let's hop back over here. So here's all the current warnings, watches, and advisories. Up throughout the coast, we have a storm watch is in effect here, basically just talking about winds and stuff like that. So really heavy winds across the Northeast. I would avoid navigating if you're out in the water here. Whenever the storm does come to the region, I would avoid going out in the water altogether. We do have a lot of winter storm watches for the entire state of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, bits of Connecticut here. You can see where these watches are in place, even for like West Virginia, Pennsylvania. The reason, we are getting a little bit closer to the point at which these will start transitioning in the warnings here. A lot of the reason why these are probably not warnings, while we do have some, is confidence. Confidence for some of these areas is not super high. Actually, a matter of fact, they just extended some watches in the Prince William County here. This is actually where I grew up. I looked this morning, there wasn't any watches, but now there is. So, but yeah, we do have a lot of winter storm watches up through eastern Virginia, including D.C., Maryland, portions of the Chesapeake there, of course, and so that's where the watches are. Then you got the winter storm warnings here in the pink for eastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, western New Jersey here, central northern Delaware. So definitely seeing quite a few of those there, and of course then we have our blizzard warnings for like southern Delaware, eastern New Jersey. And of course, Long Island and New York City, even included in those. But anyways, guys, well, like I said, just please be careful. Just keep an eye out there for the storm. We'll keep you guys up to date with the weather, and we'll make sure that you guys are staying weather aware. We'll go live again later, probably this afternoon. I'm not going to give it exact time because I don't want to commit to a time that I'm not sure if I can make. So I am just going to say early this afternoon, later on early this afternoon, we'll go back live again for you guys, just so I can give you guys a little bit more of an update here with this system. Okay, I'm going to shoot anywhere from 12 to 2 p.m. Just know that I'll be streaming right around that time if you want to join, and all that stuff. But you guys stay safe out there. I mean, hopefully by the time we approach the afternoon, we'll have some new model runs and stuff like that. Then we'll maybe be able to tell a little bit more. Hopefully the models will start coming to an agreement, because that'll be nice. Who knows? I might even do some coverage later today. Like I mentioned with the tornado threat and severe weather threat in general we have today. So I might even hop on and do some coverage later on. Alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. If you guys have any final questions before I call it a stream here, go ahead and let us know. Throw it down in the chat. That'd be much, much appreciated. But, y'all hang in there. Just make sure you get all your stuff done. Go shopping today if you can. Make sure you have a lot of food, water. Because, it's going to be a pretty good system regardless. Models do show this thing really picking up. The pressures are going to be really low. The models do show about 970 millibar range here, right off the coast here. There's definitely going to be some strong winds. The models really do agree on that. But, the big thing where models are disagreeing is snow totals, because of the factor of warm air involvement, in some places for an extended period of time, essentially. So we'll definitely help you guys out with more updates in the future. Ernesto says, do I think the snowstorm will overperform in Frederick, Maryland? Like I said, it really comes down to it, because obviously there's a lot of models that show more snowfall for you guys out there in Maryland. It's really hard to say if it will or not. I can't give you an actual answer, say yes it will or no it won't, simply because I don't know, because the models are in too much of disagreement here. It makes it really difficult. For any experienced forecaster, this event is extremely difficult because of all the involvements and, the models kind of pulling at each other, saying, one of the models is like, hey, there's a lot of warm air involved. The other one's is like, maybe not as much, and that really, really messes with totals. But, like I said, the one thing that we do know between all of the models is that this is a really strong system. There's a really strong load that's going to develop regardless. And, that is going to kick up a lot of strong winds, you can hear people say, okay, you're going to get this amount of snowfall, but just don't be surprised if it changes a lot. Seriously. And don't be surprised if you end up with more or less than the actual forecast is right now. So, confidence right now is very low on, the confidence is high of the system. Obviously, the storm's going to happen, but, the confidence in the totals is really low. It's crazy. Like I said, I haven't really seen a system disagree this much in the short range in a long time. It's been a minute. Let's see here. I don't know where to root for those who want snow or those who don't. Yeah, like I said, we're just gonna have to kind of see how this plays out. We'll just have to take it model by model, really, at this point, and just kind of watch it and see what it does. I'll probably be doing some coverage of this, of course. We'll go live for it, and I'll keep you guys in the loop with what's going on in real time, and we'll be able to talk about everything. What's up, Peachy? Good to see you. I feel like Peachy always joins right at the end of the stream. I feel like it's always Peachy joining last minute. But good to see you, Peachy. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. But if you guys have any more questions before I roll off here, go ahead and throw it down in the chat. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. But, like I said, just stay safe. Just make sure y'all are, being weather aware. Make sure you guys are prepared for the system. And like I said, the timing on it, the system starts to pop off here. Pretty much for, late tonight. And what I mean by starting off is just a little bit of snow towards, West Virginia is whenever this is going to start here. I'll bring up the timing once again for you guys before I roll off here. So let's bring up we'll do the RRFS. We did the HRRR last. So Looking at the RRFS model, so as we approach our way later on into tonight, let's see here. Yeah, so later on into the night, you can start to see some of the snow starting to pop off here, across the mid-Atlantic. A little bit of rain involved here, too. A lot of rain for the south. A lot of the southeast here getting a bit of rain at this point. So this is 2 a.m. for Sunday. We go into about 6 a.m. You can see a lot of rain off the coast for North South Carolina, bits of Virginia, the Northeast. A little bit of snow falling up by the Blue Ridge Mountains here. And then, of course, we go into the afternoon of Sunday. That's where we start to see a lot more snow developing up north. A lot of the coastal areas still likely seeing rain according to this model. Then we go into about 6 o'clock p.m. This is where everything starts to really tighten up. The low starts really getting stronger and, start to see a lot more snow. But you can still see there's going to be some rain involved. And, this really comes down to the models of how much warm air is going to be involved or not. But at this point, likely seeing a bit of heavy snow by the afternoon of Sunday. Then we go in towards midnight here, so Sunday going into Monday. At this point, obviously the sun's gone down, things have cooled off a bit, plus that cooler air advancing from the northwest, going southeast here. Obviously, that'll start to make things just cold enough for snow. And then, of course, from there on, the model pretty much just show the system going further northeast here. The system should be completely out of the country pretty much by late Monday. So, anyways, everybody, let's see here. Just woke up, so it makes sense. Yeah, that's true. Carrot says might be some stronger damaging winds developing on that line in Alexander City. Is there? Where's Alexander City at? Here, let me pull it up, I guess. Alexander City. Is this in Alabama? Okay. Okay, so this is kind of east. Alexander City is not in the line yet. Yeah, there's Alexander City right here. Oh, oops, wrong. Did not mean to click on that. Anyways, yeah, you can see Alexander City's right here. The line's not even anywhere near it. I mean, it's still got a little bit of a ways to go, but we'll see. Peachy just says, might go back to sleep after this. Yeah, I don't blame you. So tired for no reason. Yeah, it'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes. But all right, everybody. Well, you guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. You guys have a great day today. Like I said, we'll keep you guys in the loop with everything. We'll be back later on this early afternoon. Like I said, we'll likely be live between 12 and 2 o'clock p.m. So I should be there to help you guys out with some more tracking on the storm here. But I hope to see you guys then. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys take care. And all right, everybody, if you guys could maybe leave a like on your way out, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing as well. It'd be much appreciated. But you guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe out there. Get prepared for the system. And we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.